Welcome back to The Law Factor Live. In the studio, I have Van Dyke Jude and Jamina Hippolyte. Now, the Free Dictionary defines little white lies as a small, usually harmless lie, a fib. They go on further to state, every little white lie you tell is still a lie, and it is still meant to mislead people. Right. Any comments on that definition? Let's look at the words that we use when we talk about lie. Throw some into the pot. Well, we've said fib. Anything else? Half-truths?
Yes.
Look at him innocent like you don't know. He's looking around innocent like you don't know. Yeah. Okay, so lies, fabrication. Come on, these are fabrications of the truth.
Right.
Fibs. What's the Creole? I know is mate. Yes. And of course, these are the calmer ones because in the Creole it gets even worse than that. Yes. So when someone says to you, okay, don't tell a lie, we're all going to be assuming that obviously it means tell the truth. But are there occasions that either one of you think that, you know what, it might just be okay to tell a little lie? Jamina?
It happens all the time. It happens all the time. Sometimes you're in situations and to get away from it getting a little worse, you have to like, okay, let's tell a little white lie. You have to, sometimes. You have to.
I don't know why, but she says that with a little pride. Oh, you have to, you know.
But sometimes you do. It's not something that ultimately that you might be proud of, but sometimes, face it, people lie all the time, people lie every day. Sometimes you would lie in certain situations.
For example,
if this situation happened to me quite recently actually, and I have a very good friend of mine who's in a relationship with a particular guy, and I went somewhere and the guy was there with some other lady, and then somebody else told my friend that, hey, I saw your boyfriend there. If you don't believe me, ask Jamina. And then I said, really? I didn't see him, but I saw. But I will not be the one to say.
Why not?
No, because I wouldn't be the one, this thing of putting divisions between your relationship. I wouldn't do that.
But you're not the one who's created the division. The person who shouldn't be doing it is the one that created the division.
Let him admit to it, not me. I will not.
But if you were asked outright, it'd be different to me if you said this to me, like, well, I'm not going to be the first person to tell them. I'd say, okay, accept that. But if you are asked that, why lie? Just say, well, yes.
Well, first, I think it's a catastrophic lie. in the example that Jamina just gave,
yes.
to actually characterize that as a white lie. Because I think when I think of a white lie and the definition of a white lie, I think of it as when you tell somebody, you try to spare someone's feelings, which is the perfect example of what was the example that she just gave.
That wasn't a perfect example. That was a huge lie.
Well, she was trying.
What is a huge lie?
But the reason is the reason is because she didn't want to get in. She didn't want to get involved, and she probably realized that her friend is going to be hurt by the information, and she didn't want to become part of that.
I don't believe that I'm hearing that you're justifying a lie. 'Cause that's what you're doing.
I'm not justifying a lie. I'm saying that for me, a white lie is something that happens. It happens every day. Every day. Because when you look at a lie, you have to ask, first of all, is it a deliberate, conscious misstatement by someone? That's and secondly, was that deliberate, conscious misstatement meant or calculated to deceive someone else from reality?
Okay.
So if for instance someone presents themselves and they look like a monster and they've clearly made a really nice effort to look as good as they can, and they ask you, how do I look? you're not going to say, I think you look like a monster, because that's going to hurt their feelings. It's going to fracture your relationship with that individual, and it's not going to do any good to tell the person how you really feel. I also feel that it is sometimes a situation which happens so quickly that you're unable to process all the possibilities, and the easiest thing is to not deal with the situation.
You know, you say that, and someone might ring and be very upset with me for saying this, but that just sounds like a typical male excuse when they don't want to hear something, because, you know, they always say that women like to talk a lot, and they go on and on and on and on, you know. So in order to get the woman to keep quiet, whatever. So if a woman says something to them and they know that if they tell the truth, they're going to get in trouble, they'll just tell a lie. That's sudden, instant, and they can do it so quickly.
And women are not practiced at this? Is this?
Women. I mean, yeah, women do as well. No, women. I actually think that women are better liars than men.
So one of the things that we are actually sharing with the public is that sometimes people tell lies for self-protective reasons. Yeah.
Well, I would say most of the time for self-protective reasons to themselves, but sometimes because they are actually to say it's a good lie, but a good lie, that's a different type of lie. But sometimes you tell a white lie to protect somebody else. So, for example, a good example would be someone's health. You know, my parents perhaps could ask me, you know, how are you feeling today? Now, because I know my parents worry about me, and I know they're watching right now, and they say, oh, this is what it is. But sometimes, because you don't want them to worry, you'll say, oh, I'm feeling all right. But they know anyway.
Right.
They know anyway. So you might as well just say, you know what, I don't feel too good today. You know?
But that almost has no effect. It has no effect on the world. The only people that are affected in the example you gave is your parents who received the information and you who've communicated to them not your true condition, not how you feel. But if you develop that example, and let's say you've got a friend in the hospital and you go to visit the friend in the hospital and they've just come out of surgery, you look at that person and go, holy crap, you look like crap. You look really terrible. Do you do that? Or do you suck it up and say, this is not, there's nobody up there with a clipboard who's going to give me points for being truthful?
Well, then why would you tell them how they look anyway? To me, I think that's what you try to avoid.
Supposing they ask you.
You know?
Supposing they say, how do I look?
I don't think, do you think they're going to ask you, how do I look? Well, I've never heard of anyone in a hospital bed saying, how do I look? Because most of the time you ask the person, how do you feel? Yes. You know, and then they'll say, oh, I don't feel blah, blah. And then I think that it's a matter of communications and not telling lies. It's just to say, you know, you've been considering that you've been through a lot. You know, you look okay.
A few years ago, I went to visit a friend who had a sudden operation. They rushed her to hospital, and she had a tumor. And I hadn't, and this was 2 weeks after the tumor had been removed. And when I went into the hospital to see her, it was like a visual shock, because this woman looked ravished. She looked in a terrible condition. She looked as though she'd aged 3 or 4 years. I can't tell her. I said, Martha, you look well. You know, I could not look at this woman and say to her, look, you look terrible. You look as though you've aged, because it's not appropriate.
No, but you're using the wrong words. I mean, what do you think, Jamina?
I would agree with him to some point.
Yeah, okay.
No, because it does happen. If I have a friend who's at the hospital, I would not say, gosh, you look, I might say, well, maybe what you said, you've been through surgery, but you look well for somebody who just came out of surgery.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's what I mean. So you haven't that's not telling a lie. You're just using the right words. That's all.
Well, I disagree, because I think that what you're doing is, by the definition of a white lie, is when you're not being totally truthful.
But at the same time, too,
right?
It's telling that person that you look well for somebody who just came out of surgery. So the person might wonder, okay.
All right, you know what? This is a scenario we will throw out to our viewers later on. But let me just remind you of the giveaway questions tonight. Of course, we're going to ask you about Delore Factor Live, but where is Charthouse Restaurant and Bar located, and what is the restaurant famous for? Where is Charthouse Restaurant and Bar located, and what is the restaurant famous for? The winner will receive a voucher worth $150, which you can use for a meal and a drink, and the winner will be chosen next week. And what do you need to do to get an opportunity to be at the Delore Factor Live birthday party? What do you need to do to get an opportunity to be at the Delore Factor Live birthday party? The winner will receive an invite to the Delore Factor Live birthday party next week at the Charthouse Restaurant and Bar in Rodney Bay. So stay with us. When we come back, we actually have a counsellor on the line who's going to tell us a little bit more about those little white lies. See you soon.